Alright guys, let's go ahead and continue here. So we stop right here, right? What do the development and production environments mean? Development and production environments refer to the different stages in the software development cycle. The development environments where developers write, test, and debug code before it's deployed to production, which is the live environment that your end users can use. Okay, once you've launched the second instance, let's have a look at your wonderful work. In your instances page, select the checkbox to one of your instances and select the tags tab. Voila, you'll see the tags you've defined right there. So if we go back here, so we should be able to see the tags, and there it is. Okay, good. Okay, so we got the first part done here. Good job, guys. All right, so let's continue. Create an IAM policy. Okay, so you've deployed two instances, one for your production environment and one for your development environment. Now let's move on to our second task. It's time to onboard the team's new intern and set up permission policies. Our intern should have permission to the development EC2 instance, but not to the production instance. Okay, we don't want them to accidentally shut down the platform or push their changes to the production environment while they're just testing things. To start this task, we'll use AWS IAM to give our intern access to the development instance first. Okay, in this step, get ready to create an IAM policy that gives access to the development instance. Head to your IAM console and create a new policy using JSON. Okay, so which one is the IAM? Okay, so we go here and we go to policies, right? So looks like there are some policies here already created by default. Okay, so do we create a policy here? So we'll probably create a policy that is not configured already. So here we should be able to select JSON maybe. JSON, nope. Okay, so looks like there's a JSON version here. Okay, so IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. You'll use it to manage the access level that other users and services have to your resources. What is a policy? It is a rule for who can do what with your AWS resources. It's all about giving permissions to users, groups, or roles, saying what they can or cannot do on certain resources and when those rules kick in. Okay. Policies are rules that can be to users or groups. These policies can provide access, limited access to the different resources available in AWS. I think that makes sense, right? Did you set up a policy using the visual editor or JSON? Start your repo. Okay, so for this project, I've set up a policy using JSON. Okay. We haven't done it yet, but okay, so what is JSON, guys? So JSON is like it's not a program, it's not a programming language, it's just a language that has this type of syntax, right? So here is that you can establish certain like statements or rules, right? So I'm not sure how to explain it. We could use ChatGPT to explain it better than I do, but basically, um, just think about like how instead of using the visual actual, like instead of using the GUI to create a policy, we're going to use this text version um, that already comes predefined with some variables, right? So here you can actually specify what type of action we're gonna give to this particular JSON file, right? I hope that makes sense. But let me just type it here. Okay, so what is JSON? Okay, so it is a lightweight text-based format used for storing and exchanging data. It is widely used in web applications and APIs because it is easy to read, write, and parse with both humans and machines. Okay, so it is human readable. It's structured with key values pairs, right? So here we have our key, and this would be our value, right? Similar to JavaScript objects, supported by almost every programming language, easily parsed. Okay, so here's an example, right? So we have here my name. All right, so name, age, and then the languages I speak, and then it says a developer, right? So this is just an example of the structure of the JSON programming language, right? So where is JSON used? APIs, okay, APIs, web services return data in JSON format, right? So we use it for like API requests. So pretty much if we want to create our own app with, let's say for example there's a weather app, so instead of creating an app from scratch, you can use the weather's app API. API. So every website has like an API, like a set of APIs that you can use and do something with it, right? So in this example with the weather app, you may create a function in a different application that would require you to get, I don't know, like get the weather from time to time from a specific country. So instead of you creating the code to do that, from scratch, you're gonna grab this data that's already on this built app and just transfer it over to your new app. Hope that makes sense. So that's how you use here REST APIs. Those are called REST APIs, right? So see how it's grabbing the temperature and the humidity, right? So used in applications to store settings. You can store settings with JSON too for database storage. Okay. So, and then there are other formats. Just like JSON, there is XML and there's YAML. Okay. And they all come with different syntax. How to work with JSON in different languages. So JavaScript. Okay, so there's like just different ways to handle APIs depending on the language that you are, the programming language that you're using. So, okay. So it says replace the placeholder policy in the editor with the JSON policy below. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. We're gonna copy here and then we're just going to paste it. All right, so it says that it's giving us a version, and then we have some keys here. Effect allow, action EC2. Okay, you see what I mean? Resource, whatever resource, and then condition string equals. Okay, so this is going to be applied apparently for the development instance, and then we're gonna allow. It's just pretty much saying what you're going to be able to do with it. Okay. All right. So let's unpack this spicy policy. Okay, so we're gonna go over to what each of these key values points mean. Okay, so this policy allows some actions like starting, stopping, and describing EC2 instances. For instances okay, some actions for instances tagged with development while denying the ability to create or delete tags. Okay, so it looks like it's going to give you access to either starting the instance, stopping it, right? And then, but you won't be able to create one or delete. Okay, so you won't be able to create or delete tags for any instance. Okay, so extra for expert. How are JSON policies structured? This means that it's the date of the latest policy version. This tells you whether the policy is up to date with the latest standards and practices. Interesting. The main part of the policy structure and defines a list of permissions. Effect. This can have two values, either allow or deny, to indicate whether the policy allows or denies a certain action, right? So effect, okay, so the action would be allow or don't allow, okay? To indicate, okay, so deny has priority. Looking at the first statement, effect, allow means this statement is trying to allow for an action, a list of actions that the policy allows or denies. In this case, EC2 and asterisks mean all actions that you can possibly take on EC2 are allowed. Okay, so resource, which resources does this policy apply to? Specifying this means all resources in the defined scope. Condition block, optional. The circumstances under which the policy is in action. In this case, the condition is that the resource is tagged with environment development. This means specifying resource in the line above means all resources within the are impacted. So whatever permissions we are given here is going to apply to all the different cases, or all the different, how they call it here, all the different resources within that tag, within that instance, right? Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so it says take a screenshot. Okay, so we're going to take a screenshot of this. I'm not gonna get the whole picture though, so we'll just get this. Okay, so let's go to here and then do that. Save as AWS poly JSON. Okay, so we'll go back. I've created a policy that will allow access to the development EC2 instance to either start, stop, or what was the other one? Start, stop, or describe. Okay, or describe. Or describe it. What else? This will also apply to all the resources tagged with EMB development. No? Development. Okay. So what do effect, action, and resource mean? Okay. The effect, action, and resource attributes of a JSON policy means that it will provide the effect action and resource attribute means what type of policy will be applied to a user or group. So whatever we specified in this JSON file will apply to the user or group that we assign it to, right? So at this point we're just creating the policy within AWS, but we haven't really applied it to anybody. We're just creating the policy, okay? So that looks good. So it says select next when you're ready, fill in your policy details. Okay, so we're gonna name that policy that we're just creating. So we'll hit next. We're gonna give it this name, and this is going to be our description. Invalid characters, alphanumeric, and characters. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, create policy. Okay, so we just created a new customized policy. Great, so we're done with step 2. That's step 3. Looks like we have plenty of time here to continue, so let's keep going here, guys. Create an AWS account alias. Okay, sorry, my English. In the right hand side of your IAM console's homepage dashboard, create an account alias. Okay. Why are we creating one? Once you onboard new users into your AWS account, these users get access through a unique login URL for your account. An account alias is a friendly name for your AWS account that you can use instead of your account ID to sign into the AWS management console, right? So the same thing that we do for our emails, right? So if you have, for example, Outlook, you could create an alias for your specific account, right? So you can have your regular email, and then you can add a second email that would have the same like type of access to your mailbox. So this is kind of like the same thing, right? So it says here your AWS account sign-in page has this URL by default. If you create an alias, you were signing with the alias instead of the ID. Okay, so it's like more secure, so to speak. So you would create an alias to make it easier to remember and share your AWS console's login URL with others. Companies often use this so that their AWS account sign-in page is more user-friendly for their users. Okay, so instead of so I see. So instead of remember this big number that you get for your ID, you can use an alias, right? So you can put just a name. That way it's easier for you to share with others. That's what it means here. So in the preferred alias field, enter network alias, your name. Okay. So we have to go to the, we'll go here, and then we'll go here, and then I wonder if we need to create a new user, or do we apply it or do I apply it for this? Where do we do that, guys? Let's click on it, and there should be an option here to create an alias. permissions, groups, tags, security, credentials. So we're looking for an option that is going to allow us to create an alias. Oh, on dashboard. Oh, she's on the dashboard though. Okay, here we go. You see, guys? We just had to go to the dashboard first. Okay, so we'll hit here, create alias, and we'll do Bruno Soria. Okay, so it's cap sensitive, right? So we'll just do that. All right, so take a screenshot. Okay, so all right, so let's take a screenshot here. We'll do this. Alias, okay, and then it says what the account. Okay, an account alias is another way to sign into the what is it called? Console dashboard? Is that what it's called? Management console. Directly through a custom URL link. How long did it take you to set up your creating? And it was fairly quick, right, guys? Alias took me just took me less than a minute. Now my new AWS console, let's just use these guys, is what is it, guy? What is it? What is it? It's this right here. Okay. All right, so that looks good. All right, step 4. Okay, we're moving quick. This is good stuff. All right, so it says your account alias is looking slick. It should be a lot faster for users to find your account and log in now. Our new intern doesn't actually have a way to log into the team's AWS account yet. What should their username and password be? You wouldn't want to just share your account details with them. After all, you have access to the production instance, which they shouldn't get access to. Let's solve this problem using IAM again. This time we're using 2 other tools called groups and users. Okay. In this step, get ready to set up a dedicated IAM group for all network interns, okay? So you can manage all interns' permissions from one place. Set up a dedicated IAM user for your new intern so they have a way to log in. So we're going to go ahead and create a new group. So we see here user groups. We'll create a new group. We'll name it Next Work Interns, and oh no, we'll do, this is what we'll name it. Okay, so never mind, let's go back here. Okay, and then attach permission policies. Okay, so now we're gonna give this specific group the policy that we just created, right? So we are going to attach And what was it called? It was called this. This is what we named our customized or customed policy. Okay. Okay, so that looks good, right? So it says, what is an IAM user group? An IAM user group is a collection folder of IAM users. It allows you to manage permissions for all the users in your group at the same time by attaching policies to the group rather than individual users. Okay, so I mean, I've seen this before on Entra ID or Azure, where you just give you create new accounts and you give them a certain level of access. However, in my experience, what this is how it works, right? Usually these users authenticate through the Active Directory, in case you have like some type of hybrid environment. But if you are solely on the cloud, then in this case you would use Azure or AWS to create these groups. But usually these groups are already defined on a Active Directory, right, on a domain controller. And so you would just import these groups into the cloud, so that from there you can assign the specific permissions that you want them to have access to, okay, that you want them to have. So I just wanted to make just a small comparison so that you guys kind of see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory too, right? Why do we need users in our user group? IAM users are the people that will get access to your resources, whereas user groups are the collections for easier user management. We're adding users to the next work group to grant them permissions associated with that group. This simplifies managing permissions and ensures consistency across users who have similar access to AWS resources. Imagine if you have a whole team of 5 interns that need the same permission settings next summer, right? So you already have that group created. You just create the new profiles for the new interns that are coming in next year. So IAM user groups are, what do they say, collections of users that will have a specific set of predefined permissions depending on the type of users that are in the group. Okay, so what is the effect of attaching your policy to the user group? The customed I attached the policy I created to this user group, which means the custom policy will only apply to this particular group. Makes sense. So let's go back here. So we've created our group, so we'll just create it, and now we are going to create a new user, right? Now it's probably gonna give us a name here for the user. So we'll do here that, and then we'll do intern number 1. Okay. So it says provide user access to the AWS console. We don't want to do that, right? Or we do. Okay, so we do want to give them access, because otherwise how are they going to access the EC2 instance? So we are going to give them access to the console. However, it's going to be limited. How? Here's what we're going to specify, right? So what does it say here? Are you providing console access to a person? Specify a user in Identity Center. We recommend that you use Identity Center to provide console access to a person. Okay, so this is if you if you have, your users authenticated with AWS, but you could also have them authenticated with your Active Directory. But in this case, I don't think we have that set up, so I would assume we'll create one from scratch, but we'll see. If you don't tick this box, your user won't get to sign into and access AWS services through the console. They have to access AWS service through other more advanced tools. We'll cover those. Okay, so there are other ways to access, right? And I said APIs most likely, or the CLI or SDKs, software defined kits, I believe. In the future pray. Okay, so uncheck the box for users. Must create. Okay, so it looks like we're going to create one from scratch. In a real world, you should absolutely leave this box checked. We are leaving it unchecked because you'll have to create a new password for this user, which is irrelevant to our learning objectives today. Right. Add your user to the group you've created before you finish creating. Add your user to the group you created before you finish. Okay, so we can actually include or add user to a group. So we have the group. Is this the right group though? Yes, it's the right group. Okay, so we are going to hit next. And do we want a tag? Okay, no, we don't want a tag. So we'll go ahead and create that user. And we have our new account profile created. So profile. Okay. Profile. Okay. So IAM users are people are users. IAM users are, how do you define IAM users are people that are that will have access to AWS. What is it called? AWS Management Console. Right? Yeah, it could be vague, my answer, but so it says, what are the 2 ways you could share a new user sign-in details? You could send them an email, you could print off the information, you can just, yeah, you can do that, right? Usually you could just send them an email. Okay, so all right guys, so we just completed step number 5. I'm sorry, step number 4. We'll do the last part here in another video. So I'm going to stop the video right now and we'll continue right after. See you guys in a bit.